scheduled for last. And so some of us came in and signed vouchers last week, and then we had some to catch up with this week too. So we just signed general fund vouchers numbers 16 to 371 with a total of $107,834.43. Water fund voucher numbers 61 through 72 totaling $16,554.98. Sewer fund voucher numbers 43 to 55 totaling $4,281. Also, our water capital project numbers 21 to 28 totaling $728,885.36. Wastewater treatment capital project numbers 19 through 29 totaling $89,002.50. And New York Main Street grant numbers, voucher numbers 24 to 26 totaling $68,601.73. So may I have a motion to approve paying the bills?
Make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start with the fire department.
So Chief Hopkins in his report for the month of December, we had a total of 31 calls in our district. We received mutual aid once from Schuylerville, and we gave mutual aid to other departments 6 times for a total of 37. Hours for the month for fire and EMS response 194.5. Training was 183. Activities 323 for a total of 700.5. The engine rescue paint job got fixed, and that looks good from Witchcraft, from the mishap during the tractor parade. I called down to Albany today on the repairs for the rescue truck. They're hoping either tomorrow or Friday it'll be headed back. Got one more page. The fire station exhaust system, we've been on the phone with them over the past couple days. And they're gonna start installing that on this coming Monday. They said hopefully it'll be done within a week.
Oh, great.
The state fire trainings equipment grant. We've applied with Joy for another gear washer and dryer. Chief Hopkins is looking for board approval to continue with that grant for $21,995.
Okay, so this would be under Julie's contract. She's writing it.
Right.
You're just asking for us to approve applying for it.
For her to be right.
Yeah.
That's a state grant.
And what's do you know what the cost of her fees are for that, or she said?
Oh, she gets a
she's
yearly
salary?
stipend of $5,000 that we budget into. And then she applies for either 2 or 3 grants a year.
Right, okay.
On that.
It's just the latest grant that's out there.
Okay. So do we have to approve this? Do we have to make a motion and approve?
Yes.
Or moving forward?
Yeah, applying for that grant.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
May I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
The federal safer grants, Chief Hopkins is still working on that. Nothing new to report. And then when he gets back from traveling with business, he's going to do a separate report on the numbers and totals for the year 2023.
Great. Okay.
That's all he had.
Thanks. Does anyone have any questions for Mike? Okay. All right, great. Sergeant Danko.
We had takings that were reported to the Department of Criminal Justice for December for a total of 120 for the year. That's total for December. We had 5 for a total of 35 for the year. We had 1 calls logged in the county dispatch for December for a total of 1,479 for the year. 2 more vehicle accidents for a total of 27 for the year. whistleblower arrests and some of the incidents that we handled, and then we had 10 tickets for a total of 289 for the year. And that's pretty much it.
Okay. How's the traffic situation, the speeding and things like that? Do you feel like it's better now or?
A lot of people are, happy with the signage that we have out there right now. I think we have a couple more that we could go. I don't know, I ordered so many. Okay, yeah, so I think we have all the perimeter around the village for the most part. Maybe one more I think we could use near Hill. I think that would have all the entry points in, and then we can be all square with that, but people that live near them have had positive, feedback for it. Other than that, traffic usually slows down because of the crappy weather, but
Right,
yeah, so far so good.
great, thanks. Okay, Mike, back to you for the DPW report.
For the month of December, we had major equipment breakdowns. We replaced the tires on the leaf picker and had an electrical issue on one of the dump trucks. Got that repaired so the headlight and taillights worked again. Emergency calls, we had to fix a sidewalk that got damaged from the sidewalk plow on Academy Street. And right now the ice skate rink is open. We opened that today.
Oh,
There was some last week, I believe, or 2 weeks ago, there was some damage done to it. And when it thaws out, we're gonna have to look at that, but right now it's froze, so it's not leaking.
what happened to it?
A couple kids jumped the fence and broke through the ice that wasn't froze yet.
And cut it with the skate.
Yeah, cut the line with the skate. And then, in the next couple weeks, we're gonna be looking at the lighting up there, and working on getting that working.
Good.
Hopefully, we're in winter now and we can keep it open.
So what time does it, right now, what time does the park close?
It's 6 or 7.
So if it gets to be really, stays cold and the ice is nice, we could keep it
Yeah.
open later.
Timer on, keep the lights on until 8 or 9.
Yeah, that would be great.
And other than that, just winter and following snow and
What, been taking leaves up to,
following snow.
Great.
Pick the leaves up on Tuesday morning and plow Tuesday afternoon, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That's how it is.
special.
Great. Okay, thanks. Okay, Mr. Mundy.
Good evening. December 304, which is a good number since we're only open 3 weeks. So attendance is still up around 20 average during the month. 4 new members. During December, the kids did the everlasting lights out here they did again, and family tree decorated I'll Be Home for Christmas. Jen Sharp's going to be bringing her therapy dog Lola, and the mayor's welcome to bring her dog when
As soon as I get the
as
paperwork.
soon as you get the paperwork.
Yeah,
And Haddiford's been good to us. They had a cake cookie decorating kit. They gave us, we also did fire safety drills, had a holiday party. Continuing our collaboration with the library. We'll be bringing kids over to chess club and gamers club, extend those opportunities for them. This month, what's her name? Taylor Swift party. Open to the school age kids. Again, the library and Pepper Foods could be working with us, and we'll do that upstairs on the upper level. And Nature's Way is working. The mice are back under control. So that's all I have.
great, okay. Thanks. Okay, well, my report, first of all, I've accepted an invitation to be a panelist at the Saratoga Planning and Zoning Conference, which is going to be on January 31st. And they want me to tell the story of, what are the challenges in revitalizing small villages and you know, what are the successes and, you know, what's our story, you know, what's happened. So that should be interesting. And okay, so on to our grants, the TAP grant for the streetscape, which will do the sidewalks in the business district and redo the parking, et cetera, which will happen when the water mains get put in down there. So we had that reviewed by the DOT. Oh, I just realized this is a little behind. And we incorporated their suggested changes. And we got about 18 letters of support. So we had a really good portfolio on support. And the grant has been submitted. So we're all going to be crossing our fingers and hoping that that comes through this time. The town village comprehensive plan. So we adopted the comprehensive plan a couple of months ago, and the plan outlined work that was, you know, desired by all the participants and the public in all the public outreach that we did. And some of those goals that were outlined in the comprehensive plan are also prioritized by the steering committee. We've become working on them in specialized committees. And those include so that would be our infrastructure and zoning code grant that we're working on. And through the zoning code, we'll be updating both the town and the village zoning laws. And we're also studying extending a water district out into the town, out to the circle. And we're also looking at the feasibility of extending the wastewater infrastructure up Washington Street so that the former Dunbarton site could be part of the wastewater system, which would help us in attracting developers to be there. The Hayes Reservoir timber harvest, we will be hearing from Jim a little bit later on that, so I'm not going to say anything. Jim Allen will update us. Restore New York, we won 2 grants. One of them is complete, and that is the laundromat, which I'm sure everyone has noticed, is up and running, and the building and the house next to it. They did a great job on it, and it's already it's working, it's running, and so we're closing that one out. The other one is, you know, for the 126 Main Street, the Wilmarth building. And that one is a little more complicated because it's a huge budget and they have a shortfall. They're trying to make up the shortfall by coming up with other resources. Partly because of the increase in the cost of materials, which has happened to us with our water project. And pretty much any project that was conceived of a couple of years ago is taking the hit of seeing the prices go up. So that they're working on that, trying to figure out. We had a meeting the other day to talk about possibilities. The water project, we did award contract 2 in December, and we will be or have posted the bid documents for contract 1B, and so we'll be expecting in a few weeks to get new bids on that. We didn't accept any of the bids we got because we just weren't happy with the numbers, and we decided to put it out again for bid. The sidewalk grant, Willie has been working on all the paperwork for the multimodal sidewalk grant contract or application.
There's the contract, the agreement with DOT. I believe that's been correct.
Sent in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when we get the contract back, we will develop bid plans and
Yeah.
put that out after I consult with DPW to figure out how much
Right,
DPW funding will be
Right.
going with it.
right. So that'll be coming, that's moving along. I mentioned the New York Main Street grant is just about closed out, which means we had 10 projects that allowed individual building owners to do work on mostly the facades, and it varied. Some of them were roofs, some of them were windows and other work, but it was defined as improving the facade. And it was great. Everybody, and thank you, Berlin, everybody who participated was really good to work with. And of course, we had Sharon Reynolds, who was an excellent administrator. So that one is going to close out, and it's a tiny bit late, but she's got an extension, and we're going to be fine with that one. So I mentioned the zoning and infrastructure grant. We had a larger steering committee, and we broke up into specialized committees for the individual projects. And those have started working, so there'll be reports. And there is going to be I'm trying to remember the date now for that. There's going to be a public meeting about the proposed water extension. It's going to be at the Middle Falls Fire Department on,
February 7th, is that the Tuesday, 6:30?
yeah. So we really want to get the word out, because we want as much public input as we can possibly get. And we want everyone to know about the meeting. So we're even thinking about putting a banner across the road, so just to make sure nobody misses the fact that there's a meeting. So all of those committees are working. The wastewater system. We met with our project consultant. We are waiting for the Speedies permit from the DEC before the design can be completed. And it's late. And I know that she's been in touch with them to try to ping them and get them to move it along, but we don't have it yet. And there's no point in finishing the design until we get that, because if not, we might have had to make changes in the design. So it made no sense. Okay, converting streetlights to LED fixtures. The lights are all in, and we have contracted with NIPA for a maintenance agreement for the lights. So the way the status now is that we own the lights, and we've entered into an agreement, a maintenance agreement. And so I think we're all happy with that arrangement.
Have the lights been fixed that were running all day?
They just left. She's working on that. I think,
She's
yeah.
trying
the-
Kyle says he can't,
Right. And
log
you
in.
don't have on the lights.
What, Kathy?
I think that might,
Yeah, I missed that.
oh, I thought you went through the training with her.
Oh, we'll have others.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's something that we'll be able to control the lights from, the privacy of our own homes. No, I mean, like the village people. So it's actually a pretty easy system I'm sure it will be easy once we learn how to use it. Of course, it's a little complicated, but. Okay, the EPA grant for phase 2 assessment of the Dumbarton Mill site. We are still waiting for feedback from the EPA on the phase 1 plan that our consultant submitted. And it's just taking a while, and there seemed to be a delay in a lot of federal agencies responding to grant, reviewing our grant applications. So the Parks and Recreation Area Task Force, we were waiting till after this meeting, and we're putting it off until next week. And we would like to plan a tour with our guide, Jim, at some point, and we'll be doing that. The Adirondack Glens Falls Transportation Council, we received 5 proposals for the work on walkways and bikeways. It's a study, and I turned my recommendations in, and hope that some other people did. Terry was doing a review of them, and then Jim Nolan is reviewing them. So there were some good proposals, interesting. So that one should start soon. The WQIP grant application, which is for the salt shed. We haven't heard anything on that. I mean, I don't think it's been announced, but they should be soon, I would think. We thought it would be by the end of the calendar year. You think so? Okay. All right, so we'll hope we get that. And also the Drinking Water Source Protection Program application, which is, it's really technical. We applied for that. And we haven't heard yet, but we should hear. The program will provide us with technical help. And there's no match for the village. It's just experts advising us. So that's my, do you have any questions about any of that?
I have a question.
What?
On the recreation task force, are they supposed to be providing meeting minutes to the village board?
Came that once. Did
They came the once, but should they be provide?
Would you like them to?
I think that would
be good.
that would be a good
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
Okay,
For
Alright.
each time they meet, you know,
Okay.
what they talked about and agreed
Okay.
upon.
will do. We have a member here.
Okay, great.
Okay, so those are the department meetings. We will move on to, new business, and the first agenda item is Main Street Planters, and thank you Debbie Anderson and Lynn for coming to talk to us about this.
Sure.
Did you?
Yeah, come in with PowerPoint to her. so.
Yeah.
Okay. You want the big screen slide there? We just made it the full screen or not really? That's right. This is close enough.
Start slideshow up there.
Oh,
Slideshow.
slideshow. It will fill the whole screen, that's okay, this is close.
Well,
There should be able to, if you go slideshow to start. In slideshow.
Oh.
So the reason I wanted to come and talk to you is, you know, for years I've been driving around or riding my bike around New York State and lots of places. And, you know, it's so impressive when you go into a small town and you see really active plantings in the summer months and how much it changes the town. I mean, Schuylerville looks fantastic right now. We spend a lot of time in the village of Saranac Lake, and they have a very, they've had a planter program going for a number of years. And it just looks fantastic. I mean, all of these towns are suffering from the same problems that is everywhere, you know, lack of retail and downtowns with a lot of empty storefronts and things like that. And you just need reasons to make people want to come back and say, wow, this is a beautiful town. Our town has all the great bones, but, you know, definitely could use a facelift. But the reason I love these planters is because, well, first of all, they look fantastic and they're so movable. And I know that we're going to be in the middle of building projects and everything else with the sidewalks will be torn up. And what I loved about these in particular, I've been in touch with the person who organized the whole program in Saranac, and she's been super helpful. They're self-watering planters. So they come from a company in Auburn, New York called Urban Planters. And they say that they can go 2 weeks without being watered. The person that I've been talking to, Kathy, says it's more like 7 to 10 days, depending on rainfall. But they're easy to fill. They have drains in the bottom, so once the season's over, they're easy to drain. You don't have to do any tipping things over. But I've been very impressed with the company that makes these planters. But anyway, this is just most of the pictures that you're going to see from here are from Saranac's planters. So, next. Okay, just some more. I actually just gave you most of the information from that. They're a couple of years down the road in this process, and so they've also added the hanging planters from, you know, beautiful street lamps and things like that. And the other really wonderful thing is, as they've gotten going, a lot of the business owners have really jumped on board with this also and added their own planters that are up close to the buildings. These planters are great because they don't blow over or tip over. They're really stable. And some of the people that have their own business have planters that are much closer up to the buildings, so they can, it doesn't matter if they don't have to be that large. Yeah, okay. And should we be interested in this? Well, I think it would make a huge difference in our downtown. And I think it's a community builder. Years ago, back in the days of Colleen Mason and all these other people, there was the Women's Beautification Committee. And it was very active. Certainly don't think we're gonna be using a name like that again, but I think that there's a lot of people who have moved into the community who might be interested if we could organize the volunteers. I was listening to an NPR show from Catskill, and their group is called Cultivating Catskill, and they're very active with what they've done with their downtown plantings too. And I thought, wow, we've got the perfect alliteration possibility here with greening, growing, Greenwich, and I haven't come up with anything here, but maybe somebody will come up with something clever. But I thought it could be a good way to get people back on board with participating in the community. It would be a start. What I'm going to propose tonight is like a start to a program that could grow as we went on. What I like the best about these is, like I said, that they're movable. We were thinking that after the end of the growing season, the plants can be taken out, they can have greenery put in them, and then once the tractor parade or whatever is over, they can go away for the winter so that they're not in the way of snow removal or anything like that.
You have a price on it?
I do. We're coming to that. So this guy is great, the Earth Planter Systems, and this is, I made some terrible mock-ups out of cardboard that they have since fallen apart because I wanted to get an idea of what the size of it is. I thought, we were saying is maybe these are too big and maybe you should look at the next size down. And the person who represents them says, you really want to go with the bigger ones. The smaller ones are great for maybe putting, not the giant black one, but the one that he's standing next to. That's the size. The other ones you would really want is if you were like doing a grouping, and they use them in, there's even the huge sizes used in really urban areas. That's and I've got more of the spec sheet on how that wicking system works, and how the ending the self-water. But that has a lifetime guarantee. They said they've been selling that since 2012, and they have not had one single person say that they have failed or not worked out. They're made out of a type of plastic that's listed on there. They have something in them that will prevent them from fading or chipping. But once they've got, the weight is it holds 18 gallons, and it will weigh, the planter itself weighs 23 pounds, 280 pounds when it's loaded with plants and the water. So they come in the different colors. The black look fantastic, but that would be. So these are just some of the specs that they gave us, and I think this company is excellent. But, okay. So this is some more of the specs on the actual planters themselves. About I mentioned this always, the draining, and that they don't have to tip them over, about the wicking and that kind of thing. And I can give people copies of this if you want. That's a picture of Saranax when they were in the staging area, and I've asked them questions like that. How do you do this? You put them in place and then plan. They said no, they staged them in one area, and they said the first 8 days are crucial to top water them. Then they're moved with just top watering into place, and then the bottoms are filled.
So okay, so the plants are mostly planted more toward the top, and then
Everything's planted in the top. There
okay,
it is. Yep. And then let me see. It's planted right in the top of it. Kathy gave me information on what type of plants have worked best. So they're in full sun as well. What didn't work, how they overplanted the first years. The main thing is that once they're going, the fertilizer can be put right into the water. They would need deadheading, and that's what I've been thinking, that we would need to organize groups of people to be able to do that. Okay. So this is my sheet that I thought of. What am I asked from the village, and what would be the asks for the things that would be done by volunteering? We would need a staging area for planting the planters. The actual planting would be done by a designer and a committee. I've been talking with Erin Luciani, Lot 32, is that her business? And she's a professional planter, and she's done things like this before in municipal areas. And we would ask her to be organizing things like ordering the plants and getting them all started. we would need a place for storing topsoil. I've contacted Loose Blend. Really, it needs 3 cubic yards of soil to be able to fill all of these planters plus a little extra. You would need a place to store the planters in the winter, but they can be stacked too. That's another thing.
We're all looking at you, like, do you have any ideas about that? I mean, do we have a place for?
Look around, make some space beyond money there are.
What's in the building across the street from the garage?
Oh, that garage, sweeper, dump truck.
Oh, so it's
backhoe,
filled with.
Excavator.
Uh-huh.
pretty full.
So one would think that these could be stored outside in the winter.
I believe they can.
If they're gonna be
Yeah.
outside all summer.
Yep.
So, yeah, call DPW because they've got,
And if they were turned upside down and stacked,
right,
the fertilizing is added right to the water. Erin also says the top fertilizing is, anyway, we talked to them about that. The maintenance would be done by the committee, and then also the seasonal close down, taking the plants out. That would have to be determined how that would be done.
So what would you envision us asking IDPW to do?
For the
Part of
DPW?
it? Yeah.
The water, because you said there is a water truck, is that correct? Okay, and that's huge. That's one of the main things. 18 gallons per planter is what they take. And Kathy
You
said
mean over the season or
per week.
per week?
per week. She
Oh.
said that, the company says 2 weeks. She said their DPW was watering like on Fridays usually, and they could make it absolutely till the next Friday sometime. But if it didn't happen and there'd been rain or something, they could go to the following Wednesday or even Thursday. But I don't think she did 2 full weeks.
And then deployment of them in the springtime and
Yes.
recovery of them in the fall.
Right.
So
And
that,
do you have an estimated number that you were thinking of to start
I
with?
do, coming right to that. I'm almost done.
Oh, no, that's
Yeah,
fine.
no, so this was a map that Labella gave to us, and Roland and I got together and Erin, and just thought, this is just an idea. Where would you do these? It seems like concentrating them on the central part of the village would be a really good idea, but it doesn't have to be. We thought, somewhere all the way down to where the Argyle Brewery is, and really, I've showed this to a couple of other people, say, well, what about going up a little bit more to the back? It could be. This is just an idea of
Mhm.
where it might be a possibility, but you really want a big impact, and they look great when they're
Mhm.
together.
So this will be,
Yeah, you could use this budget is.
That's what I'm gonna, so go ahead to the next one. Here's the numbers. I was thinking as a start, 20 planters. They are $439 a piece if they're ordered before the end of January, because that's their big sale. And then they'll go up somewhat. So for 20 of those planters, it's a total of $8,780. It seems like a lot of money. I think it's like a long-term investment. If we bought something like this, I don't know if they say the planter's a lifetime guarantee. I know the wicking system is, but I think that they have a long life. And it would be a one-time investment. They could, Saranac started with 20, now they have 40 plus all the other things, but I don't think we don't have that much street space. But I thought that would be, instead of buying 3 and having a little some. We'd have to buy about 3 cubic yards of topsoil, and Joanne Booth gave me an estimate of $81, and they would deliver it because we're the village. Oh, that's nice. Fertilizer, Erin was looking at that. She said the fertilizer was a large bulk thing,
Yeah.
the fish emulsion, it would take 2 years for the $108. She said it would probably be a good idea to add some blocks of ProMix soil to the top, because instead of just using the topsoil. Kathy in Saranac she said it cost us about $150 per planter to do the flowers. Erin was wondering if we could do it for less. I don't know, but we just put that number out there. So that would be a total of $3,000 for flowers. And I think that I would be expecting Erin she would like to help and volunteer, but I'd also be expecting her to put in quite a bit of time with the ordering the flowers, the designing, and the getting everything up and running. She says once the summer's going, she's crazy busy and couldn't be doing the deadheading, but that would be done by somebody else.
Mhm.
So,
So it seems like, people with individual business owners on Main Street would definitely get involved somehow, right? Like if you had a planter in front of your business, you probably want to volunteer.
and I've talked to a number of people that, oh, I would really like to be able to help with
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Lynn Dombrowski and Aaron's father-in-law. I mean, I know a lot of people who have said I would sign on for that. I
Yeah,
thought if you could assign people, these are your planters for the summer,
right.
and you have a committee.
Well, we've had requests for some kind of beautification plan for, and we've talked about it multiple times. So this is the first really concrete, well, plan that we've heard recently. So thanks.
And,
Well-
yeah, and, I'm hoping that someday it could be added on to, and we could look into grants and things like that.
Yeah. Anybody have, what are our questions for Debbie about
I
the
have a
plan?
question, Deb. What's the life of the planter, did you say?
The wicking system, it says that has a lifetime guarantee. What does it say about the plant? Okay. Oh, lifetime planter warranty, sorry, lifetime, both of them, the wicking system and the planter. So, I guess so. I guess that's what I'm saying, I don't know, since 2012, they haven't had anybody make good or get nobody call them up on the warranty.
What of those are annual costs?
Right.
That's all annual.
Everything
Besides the
else.
planters.
Oh, yeah,
Besides-
no,
Yeah, what
no.
is the Saranac Lake annual budget, did they mention?
What their budget is, theirs must be much more.
I know, I was wondering if you could-
Bigger.
Divide it down to 20, well, anyway.
Well, what I was going for was she said it costs her approximately 150 a planter plant, that's what she said.
Each
So,
year?
Well,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
because they're annual.
but, and in that, Aaron thought that might be on the high end, but I don't know, I didn't want to lowball it. And maybe have to fix it.
I love it.
Willie?
I think ultimately that's something we wanna do.
Yeah.
And the,
We've been talking about it for a long time.
Yeah.
and the $8,000 cost of the
Initial.
equipment, initial cost is not prohibitive.
Right, and
Cause if we went for like the big concrete planters,
it's the same difference. If not more.
you'd buy 2 of them for that.
You can't move them.
Yeah, and you can't move them.
Yeah.
No,
So this seems like a good solution, and if ultimately we
Well-
wanna move them around or do something different or redeploy them, we have the opportunity to
also
do
we
that.
have the opportunity to work this into, minimizing the yearly thing in the future. I mean, for right now, it's
Right,
January, and
right.
if we're gonna do this year, then we need to do it.
Right,
Right.
But,
and if
you
you
know,
back
it
up
gives
a
us
slide,
time
if-
to,
Sorry.
if you would,
What?
She's just gonna go back to slide.
back one slide.
Oh, okay.
and now, how tall was the biggest one? That's what we're talking about,
The
right?
huge one, no.
It's actually the middle one, right?
Yes,
So
it's really,
on
it's
the
zero
side.
base 31. If you saw that picture, it comes up to.
Oh, the 31, okay, the 41's the tallest one.
That's
Right.
massive, yeah.
Okay.
Looks like a swing.
So
So this is the 31.
the annual costs,
Well,
there was a question on annual costs. So we're gonna probably need to buy 3 more yards of topsoil every year, so that's gonna be $100.
And wow,
And we're gonna have to buy fertilizer.
Yep.
We'll probably need to buy some more
Yep.
chromic soil and the flowers.
right.
So you're looking at 100, 300,
Couple thousand.
3,000.
20 years.
But, yeah, probably $4,000 a year to do that.
That's
and that,
Your current budget is $1,000. It's just.
your current budget is
It's about.
for flowers.
For beautification.
Just for beautification, not even. Wow.
Yeah.
So I have one more thing. at least the purchase of the flowers and plants, I would hope that we would be able to facilitate someone locally.
Yes.
That's
There's a
something I
guy
think that would
just
be
south,
really
just
important.
south of, that's Mary Roberts. Do you know Mary Roberts in
Oh, yeah.
Scottsdale?
Yeah.
And Mary, she's responsible for all the plantings and
Uh,
at the Hudson River Crossing Park and
Right.
yeah, downtown. There's a guy named Andrew Sheeran, I think, and he has a company, the Gardeners Supply Inc. He's down on Coveville Road, just south of Schuylerville. She said he is fantastic and he cut them a really good deal with all the plants that they wanted to start. So I talked to him the other day and I said, would you be interested in working with us? And he said, absolutely. So yes, local and
And Sarah had, last year, Sarah Eidelman had tried to arrange something along these lines, at least for, you know, picking up the gardens that we have now,
Yeah.
not in the parks, because a
Yep.
small group of people do our village park,
Yeah.
but,
Right.
3 people.
Yeah.
But,
So,
Marie,
you're one of
that's
them.
one of the things I'm hoping is to, if we can, and you know, once again, I said I wanted to start this, so I need to get the committee together too, and to reinvigorate some kind of a GG something or other, a committee, and we'll include if people, there's so many newer, younger people that have moved in, and I
Yeah,
have
you
neighbors
could
who
hold
want
that
to
for
know how to meet
3
people,
years.
right? And so if there was other people said, well, if you would want to help with one of these.
but I know
kinds.
Sarah did, and I think that she contacted you about it too, and then it sort of fell through, and
Yeah,
then,
well, that was just for the village, right?
Yeah.
But
and then winter came, and.
Yeah, well, the nice thing is the details that you're bringing forward here, which really sell the, our plan that we can move forward with now, which I think is the village.
So Debbie, the dimensions on the 31,
Here.
because what was up on the thing was the 21, I believe.
it
Okay,
is,
this is a 31.
that's
All
the
right,
one.
31.
And like Debbie said, she actually made mock-ups of the sizes, and so Aaron and Debbie and I had all the mock-ups, so it was very clear that that middle one was the right scale for our sidewalks. The big one was too big, the little
It
one
will
was too
look
small.
ridiculous when you,
Yeah.
yeah, it's so hard to visualize if you're not looking at it, yeah.
Right, so, okay.
I'd wanna see them too go, like you say, down as far as the brewery and like spaced out along Main Street instead of
Yeah.
just,
Yeah. In fact, this the guy from the company said he would send me to if I wanted.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Well, because I think the way to go is to start and then possibly next year if we're really crazy about it, maybe it worked really well, consider expanding. But before we go on, I want to just talk to Mike because obviously this would involve your department pitching in and doing even more work than you do now. Right. And so how do you feel about it? Because it seems,
Seems doable.
is that water tank something that you can pull out of
It's,
and to use, right?
it's an old fire truck, 1,000-gallon tank.
Right, that's so 18 times 20, right? So we're good. We're funny.
That'll go along with
Uh-huh. And
it. Just twice a year and then water in between.
Willie, is the weight of the planter on the paper?
Just that
No,
one.
but 18 gallons of water.
Well, but no, I mean
but-
dry, I wanna know
oh.
how heavy it is.
It's,
23 pounds, yeah.
283 pounds when it's fully
That's not
loaded.
bad.
It's not
I have nothing to do with this, but it's just my 2 cents here. If it's gonna be along the business district, why not get the chamber involved to help maybe cover
I
costs?
was actually gonna mention that, I promise, you know, so, and I told you that the other day, we had a meeting the other night and we would like to support and help too. We're finishing up our budget for this year and obviously, you know, the tractor parade continues to be so successful and we fully support this, so I don't have a number, but we can talk. Cause that's Evelyn Grimes is our treasurer, so she was looking at that to see what we thought we could afford to pitch in, so 100%. And also Sarah Moses is on our board and she's involved with Battenville Community Services. She said it would be a great thing for those folks to get involved with, however that would work. I mean, if you're driving a truck to water, they can't do that, but there could be things, deadheading and all that. So she loved that idea.
Great, so that would be a nice way to bring different community groups together. Great.
So basically DPW storage area and then deploying them and recovering them every year. Recovery shouldn't be too bad,
yeah,
but deploying them because because
Yeah.
they're empty and you can dump the soil out.
That was one question I had when you were in the staging
In
and
the
got them
staging.
planted. How heavy are they? at that
They're-
point? Oh,
They're gonna be
280.
280.
fully loaded and 18 gallons is 200.
Okay.
But you
50
wouldn't,
pounds of
you wouldn't
water.
want, you don't put the water in until they're set in
Place.
place.
Correct,
Yeah.
but you're still,
Dirt.
Yeah.
but the dirt and dirt saturated is not light.
Well, I
So-
mean, do we need a forklift? So that's the
I-
question.
Don't know, for 280,
Well, for,
Well, I'm
for
not-
280 you do, but
Yeah,
Now it's on our computer.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So we
Not
can
that
manage
track.
it.
Yeah, we can manage it.
and that's another question I could ask the person from San Diego, how do they get them in place?
Yeah,
Yeah.
picking them up afterward, not a big deal, but getting them out after they've been staged and
Right.
there's gonna be soil and moisture in there, and they're gonna be a little heavy, so they require using the loader.
so we'll have to come up with a system. for that.
Okay, I'll get
You
them.
know, that's, you know, it doesn't seem like a deal breaker, but,
No.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, but
So, Kyle, hi Kyle.
Hi.
Do you have any questions about this?
No, I just, like usual, we're coming up with all these great ideas and then dumping them on DPW to implement, but
So that's why I was hoping.
That's nothing
for
new.
water and the storage.
I know that's nothing new, but I don't know I don't know the way around it. We can try, we can do what we can to minimize it, but I don't know. It would definitely involve your participation. Yeah. Yeah. Do we feel ready to? Yeah. Okay. So, you wanna make a motion?
Make a motion, I think we vote on whether or not to purchase, just move forward and order the planters. And make that wholehearted commitment to it. And
whatever help we can get.
whatever help
will
we
help.
can get,
Okay.
but we're,
But we'll do
we
it.
should fully commit it, but not say that we're that we wouldn't take any assistance.
Okay, we will
Okay.
welcome assistance, but we will approve the
Purchase of
proposal.
the planner and the proposal, yeah,
That would be great, then we get the sale price.
yeah,
Now,
it's over,
we're still, we're gonna,
X amount of money, so we will have to
Get
do a
quoted.
permissive referendum or,
no,
no?
no.
I mean,
What was it?
are there any other companies that supply?
Oh, right, we're supposed to get.
You're
Yeah, we've
welcome
got
to
to
look
go
at
through
it.
the
and welcome
purchasing
to
process.
compare.
we need to go through the purchasing process.
What if you wait for the chamber to give you their quote and then it will be less?
We need three,
Potentially, and you can approve it.
three
Yeah.
alternatives.
Comparable.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Nothing,
Written, we don't have to, yeah,
yeah,
Before the end of the month.
Right, so we have time to evaluate.
Well, so we can get the sale price.
right.
Right.
So having said that, we can approve it with the caveat that we are going to, see if there are other sources for the same type of planter. Okay.
439.
Thoughts? How do you guys feel about that?
I am gonna make a motion
Go forward.
that we purchase planters in proper, this, what we have been shown or equal,
Okay.
not to exceed
Mhm.
$9,000 in compliance with our purchasing policy.
Okay, I'll second that.
All in favor? Now, what about the
Right.
rest of the costs for the rest of the project though? Because it was $13,000.
Well, then we'll deal with that.
Well, yeah,
We have time to deal with that, and hopefully we can get some contributions or assistance for some of those other items.
Okay, yeah, all right, so it's passed, we're gonna purchase,
The planters.
okay.
and then we need to, discuss what these things will get delivered to.
We need a motion.
So, You know, I mean, we need a
Oh, sure.
motion each time, we need to
You
get
did?
two more
Yeah.
prices and a little,
Yeah.
a little figuring.
So it's coming out of where?
Clarified after.
Yeah.
Alright,
We'll have to figure that out.
yeah. Logistics.
Okay, our windfall.
Right.
Okay,
Beautification.
right, yeah, okay. All right, well, thank you very much, Debbie. That was great, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a great wraparound solution to the problem. Okay, we're gonna move on to other items on our agenda. And the next one is, the resolution for the polling place and time for our village election, which is coming up on March 19th, 2024. And, so we just have to pass the resolution that be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Greenwich does hereby declare that the polling place for the election held on Tuesday, March 19th, 2024 will be the community center at 6 Academy Street, Greenwich, New York, right here in this room. And the polls will be open from 12 noon to 9 p.m. So may I have a
I'll make the
motion?
motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Okay,
Just in case anyone's wondering what happens if nobody runs for mayor. It's still hold the election, it's write-in.
thank you. Okay. Now I lost my agenda. I'll hand it over. Yeah, okay. All right, the election inspector appointments. We'd like to appoint Marjorie Irwin and Hugh Cameron. Is there a resolution to that effect?
No.
No, we just have need a voice.
I'll make the
Okay.
motion that we appoint Marjorie Irwin and Hugh Cameron to be the election inspectors this March election day.
I'll
Wait.
second.
Maria seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Great,
Aye.
thank you. Thanks. Okay, next resolution, we have a resolution. We need to approve the appropriation by transfer of $2,000 from G 8110.43, which is sewer admin electricity, to account G 8110.4, which is sewer administration contractual, to cover expenses and course fees for a wastewater treatment plant operation certification course as necessary to obtain a basic sewer license. And this will be for our
Nick Casey.
Nick Casey, who's going to take a course.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So,
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, next item. Moving along. Okay, the RFQs. Q for the WWTP.
So we have a clue.
Can you explain that? Yeah, I mean,
We
the
have to
wastewater treatment plant,
put out requests for qualifications for our wastewater treatment plant upgrades. And it's firms submitting less than 20 pages, some bio, some background, some work that they've done, some familiarity with our village and our project. And then we decide which firm to go with.
This is for consulting and design.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm. It's for the STAG grant, the federal grant for the wastewater system.
And
It turns
that's
out that
required.
Right.
it's an additional requirement that has come up
So
recently.
Barton and Lejudas will fulfill their
Yeah.
obligation to
They-
do that.
Well, they will need to submit,
Yeah,
as will the
Others.
others, and we will score those.
Okay,
And the probability, because Barton and Lejudas has the familiarity
Right,
with the village, is they will score relatively high. However, somebody who hasn't worked here
Yeah,
may knock our socks off and we
Yeah.
may choose to go with them.
right.
But it's federal money, so it's a
What
qualification
happens to the
phase.
work that they performed today?
We've paid for it and they
And they
return,
give it to
and they
us.
would turn it over to
Yeah,
us.
okay.
Yeah, and actually it was the, it's the design phase, which we allocated funds out of our own budget, for,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
so it wouldn't be that grant money. So do we just need to take a
So they're due 11 o'clock on Friday, the 9th of February. And we'll have a meeting on Monday, so that's when.
And
we
it's
can
been
make
posted?
So we should,
yes,
I would suggest that we have a committee of
Mhm.
3 people reviewing them and scoring them in accordance with the RFQ and then submitting a recommendation to the full board.
okay. That sounds good. I nominate you to be on that committee. And also,
And then maybe,
and
just so we don't have a quorum, like Mike or one of your wastewater treatment.
Or John.
Yeah, or
John.
John,
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
that sounds like a plan.
Does anybody else do any work besides John?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
And he doesn't want to go down.
no.
No.
Don't blame him.
Okay. All right, so we're just explaining that, Jane, and we're setting up this committee, but we don't have to, we don't have to vote on it. Okay. All right, okay, great. Moving along, I'd like to welcome Jim Allen back again, to give us an update on our forestry project, which, Jim, remind me when we actually started work was September, right around Labor Day. Yeah.
Labor Day,
Yeah,
like the 13th and 14th of December, somewhere in. I don't
Okay.
remember the exact date.
Mhm.
All these got.
Yeah. and just a little bit of history, in terms of our planning this. We started at least 2 years ago discussing the concept. And we were discussing it every month, in 2022. And then we decided to pause the project over the winter. And last March, we announced it that it was going to be on the agenda, and we started the discussion again. So that's when we started fine tuning the plan, with Jim. And so then, we approved it, and Jim went out, for contracts with
We had
Wow.
4 bids. That submitted for the whole
Mhm.
project.
And we evaluated them and we chose, a particular group to go with. And I think it ended up being a good choice. But anyway, Jim, I just wanted to give a little background on how we came to this.
No, that the only part of the project that isn't completed is gonna be done this spring, once we get into growing season, seeding and stuff with grass and stuff in grass areas and just re-leveling any of those areas that need to be addressed. Just because when we left, it was, when the project finished now, it was not great growing season and probably a little bit wet and frozen. But in total, the whole project, gross of the project is $286,815.68. That includes the last check that'll be coming. It's in the mail. It was mailed out yesterday. It was gonna go mailed out Monday, but Monday was a holiday. I should be getting that. I'm gonna say tomorrow or Friday at the latest, but who knows when the postal service exactly.
So,
Go ahead,
go ahead. I just had a couple of questions for you.
ask your question.
So what exactly is happening in the spring with,
So once we get into probably early May,
Okay.
late April, early May, I'll start, I'm down this way first week anyways. I'll check and see when the ground starts to dry out enough to get, they'll bring a skid steer out and we can back drag it graded if we need to and do any more scraping that we need to in the area. And then get grass seed it down, whether we use some kind of chaff or not, we'll see how the ground conditions look.
Okay.
That's pretty moist area there, so it usually, maybe just get good seed coverage on the dirt, to get good growing seed.
Okay. I was up there last week and it appears as though there were some ruts here and there that I suspect not all of them were from
When we
the logging operation because there were fresh tire tracks.
So when we left, when the last piece of equipment left was the excavator, everything was graded and everything right to the part where you turn in to go to either the leaf dump or where the sign is.
Okay. Yeah.
So everything, that's where they loaded the excavator was right there. So everything was graded to that point, and then everything around that was, was leveled off.
Right, because there were wheel ruts beyond the pond.
I kept the gate locked for that weekend. It was like 3 or 4 days after the equipment left, just trying to hope that everything would kind of settle out a little bit and keep people out of there. And then I went back, I think it was like a Wednesday, and the lock was off the gate and sitting on the ground, and the gate was empty. So not sure who opened it or left it open, but it got opened, and I took the chain, the lock, and the signs off of, the closed signs off, because the project was over, and that's what we were gonna do.
So the other thing I noticed was there were some logs, limbs, that kind of thing that were, dead at various places on the site.
Yeah, in the site itself.
Yeah, that's on the site itself.
In the woods, there's gonna be slash.
Right. And
there was probably some dead limbs that have fallen in areas where we're gonna have to clean up, where we're gonna grass seed.
Okay.
But that's, once we get ready to lay grass seed and get everything done, that will all get done.
Okay.
So Jim, I'd like to ask you just now, since this is kind of your summation of the project. What would you say was achieved from the forestry perspective from the project?
So, this is very initial because we haven't really, seen any regen yet. So right now what we did is we removed, the spruce stand that was at its full maturity, that was, was planted for the regional growing for timber. In that property, there was roughly 22 acres of spruce, 21 to 22 acres of spruce that was planted. And then there was another, about another 22 to 23 acres that had red pine plantation planted for the same purpose, and they were all planted at about the same time. So in the spruce plantation, we were starting to see some spruce needle drop disease in a couple of places, which is a sign that the spruce is fully mature. And also there was some areas where there was a lot of invasive starting to grow. We've got burning bush, and we've got some barberry started. A lot of that's just because of what we have out front with birds carrying seeds in. So with that, we talked originally when we were going to do about a 12-acre clear cut in the spruce, and then do 6 to 7 acres of a thinning. And that was when the whole project was as a whole. And then with a couple of walks that we had with the public wanted to, keep that 6 acres of Thunder Mountain. And then the general consensus of those people on the walk were like, well, why don't we just get rid of all the spruce, because it's really not native, and it's, we can see where the issues are going to be with the invasives if we just thin and they're going to overtake. So when we walked 4 weeks ago now, I guess it is, we talked about the invasives in that area, and just going to have to monitor them and keep an eye on them, and may need some public works and, help maintaining them. But with the clear cut, it's going to be a lot easier to manage. Also, it's going to create a lot more regen as a whole, which will help overpower that as well. So come probably this spring, early summer, I'll take a walk and see what's coming in those clear cut areas. I'll see a little bit. It'll take a pretty good eye, but it's going to be about a year to 2 years before you really start seeing a lot of greenery. It's going to green up this year, but you're not going to see woody stem greenery for probably a year or two. Popple, if that comes in, which is okay, because that allows a lot of other species to grow amongst it, that can really shoot right up the first year and be, 2 foot tall in the first year. we may get a little spruce regeneration. It was a great tone year. So, also maybe some pine in there
Mhm.
and that kind of stuff. But what I'm really hoping is we get, I'd really like to see about a 50 to 60% of that be hardwood regeneration between the birches and maples and maybe a little bit of oak.
And also, would you talk a little bit about the possibilities, like some of the trails that existed, particularly the Red Trail was affected by
Yep.
the project. But we're thinking that there will be opportunities for development of a lot of
Yeah,
of
so
other new trails.
so the yellow trail, that's pretty well all intact. That was all open in everything when the project was done, took the excavator, guy had an excavator there, we wanted the excavator, cleaned it all open, the trail all up. The red trail, the issue with the red trail was some of that trail was in an area where, there was a lot of dead spruce and there was a lot of blow down spruce in that area. And so to maintain that trail going forward in that clear cut area it's going to be very difficult where the trail was located because you're going to get a lot of regen and it's just going to grow fast. So the haul roads are what with a cut the link system they call gutterways. Those areas are going to be less likely to regen as fast. So those wheel tracks where they haul will make great walkways. Though they've got a woody debris base already, so which has got a great base, which will help keep foot off the soil. I mean, hiking trails are great, but we get a lot of soil erosion on hiking trails that we don't realize, and then roots get exposed and that kind of stuff. So that's going to help with that. And that red trail, there's places where I think that red trail would be best to be on the main roads that are there than where it was anyways. And then we talked about the other spot on the north side of the power line where we did a patch cut over there where there was a red pine spruce plantation that was just written for and had some beech regen. We weren't really happy with. It is a great vantage point of the whole property. So from that point where you're sitting, or if there's a bench there, you'll actually almost see probably about 98% of Thunder Mountain property.
Yeah, so that would be a nice place to.
It's a very nice
establish
place.
an overall.
As time goes on, the view is going to go away as we get regen and the regen starts to grow in height. But for probably 5 to 10 years, maybe you might be able to keep that vantage point pretty easily by just a little bit of maintaining things out of it. And then the other sections of the state property where we did the thinnings, the pine thinnings, there's going to be quite a bit of hardwood regeneration in here. In the areas where the white pine was pretty heavy, we had a lot of Norway maple growing, which is not a native species to the woods in our area. So there a lot of the understory in there was Norway maple, which the jobber either cut and or pulled out by roots and all to try to minimize and keep it as much as possible out of the forest. So we're hoping to get some black birch, some popple, some maple. We're going to get probably some pine regeneration in there. Again, the pine cones this year were very vast and a lot of them, and they seem to have a lot of seed. I've checked a bunch of phones in different areas, so there was a lot of seeds. So as they start to drop their seed, they've got great scarified soil, so that they should take go off.
Yeah, that's great. So the next step for the task force, the parks, is to take a walk with Jim and then come up with a plan for creating new trails and marking trails and other things. And of course, we'll have to get volunteers to help with that too, because the task force is 6 people or something.
So, and those are all village residents, correct?
They are.
So, and the village owns the entire property, correct?
Correct.
And we don't get any assistance from the town or the county in maintenance or recreation or anything like that for that property.
We don't get any funds from any other.
Okay.
I don't think the village is allocated.
Well, the village has an allocated funds.
Yeah.
And any proceeds would go back to the village because we own the property.
Correct. Yeah. So, yeah.
And we talked a little bit when we walked that day about trying to limit traffic, And also, you know, and when we do the new trails and stuff, instead of using tags with nails, we'll try to come up with a paint scheme.
Right.
Because, tags and nails and trees just
Bad.
don't go well.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, Jim, really, you were great. It's been great.
I'll be at the
work.
next meeting, because that'll be the official, you know, last check will be here, so if anybody has any questions, but also I'll be at a meeting probably in April and May as well. We do have a security, you know, a $5,000 performance bond, you know, that we have in hand, you know, to make sure that the project is all cleaned up and everything.
Okay.
So, you know,
Once the cleanup is done, that would be really.
yeah, the cleanup is done, yeah, sometimes, you know, we release half if all the work is done except for like seeding and stuff like that, so that was a question, you know, that I was just gonna have. If that was something that you guys wanted to do, or just hang on to it all until that is all complete, that's totally your call.
Great. Thank you, Jim.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Our next item of business is related to this, and that is that I'd like to propose that we don't have a budget item for our parks and recreation, and we really haven't had that luxury, you know, for years, because we've been trying to keep the budget, you know, reasonable for people and not, you know, not have taxes go up too much. But we had hoped, our optimistic thought when we started talking to Jim was that we would make $100,000 from the forestry project. And as it turns out, the number is actually, where is that? 286 and change.
286, 850.
Yeah. So I would like to propose, so this would be a budget item that would be in the village budget. It would be controlled by the village board, just to be clear. And if anyone, and it would benefit our parks, our village parks and recreation areas. So if anyone had a proposal to do something, just like Debbie came in with a proposal, they would come before the board. That would be the Parks and Recreation group or any other interested group. And the board would have to approve allocating funds toward that project. But it would be a budget item for Parks and Recreation. So I would like to propose that we allocate $100,000 for that, but that budget item.
Over a period or?
I mean, just, we have $280,000 that's come in from the forestry project.
I think we just need to think out the mechanism for doing that, because the budgets are on an annual basis, and do we wanna, you know, set, because we can't do it every year.
Right, no, of course not, no.
And, or figure out how to set money aside so we can draw from that.
In a way, the same way the Gannon Fund is
Right.
used for
Right.
a specific purpose as the board approves the funding. Right.
Right.
So,
And maybe that's what we should do and not budget, not put it in a line item.
Right, so, okay, no, yeah,
yeah.
the principle would be the same, it would be it would be an
That's what
allocation.
that money is earmarked for, and that's what it's meant for, but we need to do it in a manner that is responsible, sustainable, legal, etc.
Sure, yeah. And the other thing is, the task force is looking at ways that they can become a fundraising group also. By being separate from us, they can be either an unincorporated
Well, I
organization.
think they have to, if they're gonna give people tax deductions for the contributions, they have to be a 501c3.
But do they have to give people?
They don't have to,
Yeah,
no,
give
they
people
don't-
tax
it just
deduction.
helps with fundraising.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we could, that's part of a bigger discussion, you know, we have to figure that out.
And we really haven't talked about it. We haven't spent any energy on discussing going forward after the harvest was over. And it warrants a full
Okay.
discussion with all of us.
Okay, so should we convene a meeting a special meeting to talk about it, or should we?
Well, I want to have the discussion without the public, just to talk among ourselves, and I don't know how you really wanna to do that.
I don't
without
think
it
you
being-
can do that.
We can't do that.
It's a,
If we have
if you have a
Well,
quorum, then it has to
right.
be.
public meeting,
a
if we
public
have
meeting.
2
Yeah,
individuals.
no, I
that-
understand all those rules. I don't want it to be a public discussion at this point. I'd like us to have ideas before we have a public discussion.
Okay.
That's all. Okay.
Is the task force gonna report to us at some point with what their findings and recommendations are, or?
Well, they did come in once, and Willie just asked if they could come in, you know, whenever they have a meeting, come in and report on, and yes.
Or provide us minutes of their.
Yeah,
meeting.
it would be great to see the minutes for all the meetings that they've had so far. We haven't seen anything.
Well,
They
we.
didn't really say anything.
And
You know, I mean, it was a very brief
Okay.
interaction.
Okay,
we're happy to, very seriously consider their recommendations,
Yeah. But we don't know what they are.
Right.
Okay.
And I saw some results from the polling, from the
a
the
survey.
survey, and yeah, a lot of the things that people want aren't super costly and would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, love pavilions.
Yeah, you know, picnic benches up by the reservoir, that'd be great.
Stopping the fish.
Yeah, fish stock,
Yeah, okay, all right,
a lot of this-
okay, to your point, all right, well, we will have to
Yeah,
have a meeting and discuss it. Okay, so we will not, we'll table that until the next time. Well, it'll probably have to be a public meeting, but maybe we can.
get some
Have- give us
ideas
some
together.
time to
Let
get
us see
ideas.
the recommendations so that we have time to think about what they're recommending. And if
Okay.
we have questions instead of just,
Well, I think right now, I don't think they have any concrete recommendations besides just remarking the trails and
right.
some little things, but we can get those on
Mhm.
paper.
Mayor, you could have a public workshop, where the public is invited, but they don't have to comment. I mean, Andy could testify to the viability of that in compliance with the open meeting law, just have a workshop.
You can
There's
have
no-
it and you can not allow public comment. Or you can allow it.
Yeah,
So we'll figure that out.
yeah.
Okay.
It's-
Okay. All right, well, let's do that. Okay, well. That brings us to the Fire Protection Agreement 2024. And this is the agreement between the town of Greenwich and the village of Greenwich and the Greenwich Volunteer Fire Department. And this the town of Greenwich has established a fire protection district known as the Town of Greenwich Fire Protection District, embracing territory in the said town, excluding the village of Greenwich, as such territory is more fully described in the resolution establishing such district and duly adopted by the town board of the Town of Greenwich. And whereas following a public meeting on November 8th, 2023, duly called by the party of the first part, it duly authorized a contract with the party of the second part for fire protection to said district upon the terms and provisions herein set forth. And, okay, so this is pretty long. What?
Oh, all right.
Is this the same contract we've had? every
Yeah.
year?
And the district boundaries have not changed?
No, they haven't.
No, they have not
Okay.
changed.
Okay, this is the same contract we've been doing every year with the
Right.
town.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I'm trying to see what the.
And the bottom line, the
we
revenue,
signed the contract and
Yeah,
the
what's
town
the-
pays for
what's
fire
the price?
protection.
yeah, and has that changed?
No.
One would think that there would be
Is
a
there
modest,
change in the figure this year?
modest escalator.
You remember, Jim?
I don't remember the bottom line, number. No, it's like 140 something.
Is the amount on the first page?
Yeah. The second to the last.
Usually we get notified if the amount's gonna change before the meeting.
This year was budgeted 116,000.
But. Completely. I don't see the number.
You don't remember, right? No.
No, I know, I've reviewed this.
I think the last one I remember is about 108.
But the number is something that we do reaffirm.
The number is not jumping out at me from this
Hmm.
contract.
It should be. And Karen, you said it's 152?
117 was budgeted
This year,
for the
okay,
fiscal year,
this
so
year.
it'll probably be that or a little bit more. I think that was the first time it went up in a couple. years.
Right, I was gonna say it was stuck at
Yeah, it
a
was like
figure for a
112, It
while.
was 112 for a while.
Okay. It should, it should have the amount in there for you to sign. Oh, there it is. Okay, 123.
All right, the amount
I will believe.
is $123,438 to be paid in 2 equal installments of $61,719 each. The first installment shall be paid on or before June 30th, 2024, and the second installment shall be paid on or before December 31st, 2024.
I'll make a motion that we accept and allow the mayor
We
to sign.
authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
That's the word. Thank
I
you.
will second said motion.
All in favor?
I,
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, we have. I'll make sure we've done everything. Okay, we have a permit from the Rolling Radish. It's a peddler permit for 1 year. And it's a food truck, if you probably know, realize.
Is this essentially a renewal?
It's,
no, his permit lapsed.
Oh, it might,
Yeah, it was, yeah,
okay. But
so.
he's had a permit in the past.
he has had a
Yes.
permit.
Yeah, and when he was down at, yeah. So, yeah, he has the state of, the Department of Health permit to operate a mobile food service establishment. And doesn't really
And
say,
insurance?
I don't
I didn't get insurance, actually.
know.
I got his Department of Health certificate.
You should have an insurance rider for this.
CGL,
I will get one.
Okay, so we can't approve this tonight.
We can approve
You
it
can
and
make-
approve it.
Yeah,
insurance.
approve
You wanna do
Sure.
that?
Yes,
Sure. I'll make the motion.
I will second.
All in favor?
I,
All right, so we don't have any correspondence, Jim? Okay, so, now we're open for public comments. And, we do have public comment guidelines that we published a while ago, but essentially, anyone is allowed to comment on anything we discussed. And the time limit is 3 minutes a person. And you're not allowed to cede your time to another person. So, we're open for comments. Karen.
I will comment on. Oh, Karen Prime, 15 Church Street. Sorry, my notes are gone. I'm going to comment on the allocation, timber harvest allocation. I've had a long time to think about the most meaningful way to possibly be stewards of this revenue. First of all, my suggestion would be to add 7110.4 parks to your budget. And to echo, I guess, what Kathy was saying, is to get the minutes from the Parks and Rec task force, see what their suggestions are. Maybe score them as what is the most feasible. If you wanted to add it this year, we have 5 months of this year, sure, make a budget modification. I would definitely not put $100,000 in, it would, 'cause I don't, unless you had a known project for that 100,000. And so what, yeah, what would the known project be? And could it be accomplished within that time frame? Definitely add a project for next fiscal year. I mean, absolutely, I think this is a wonderful thing. We have, this money. Right now, as we're putting it into like a TE account, like the, Gannon, I mean, that's up to Andy to figure out if, I mean, that was gifted as.
Well, that was gifted and restricted.
So
This isn't,
this
so
isn't,
I have
so-
to look at how the
Right.
board can do that. I'm not sure the board could, bind future boards for
That's not-
use of those
That's what I'm
funds.
thinking.
Right,
But you-
unless it was like a Gannon fund, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
no, that was,
So that was the
that
gift.
was part of the gift,
Oh,
Yeah.
I see, okay.
restricted gift.
Yeah,
This is
So,
not a gift, this is just revenue.
so I think you can certainly segregate the money and express the intention of using it for these purposes. But I don't think that would prevent a future board from saying, we need to use the money
Or whatever,
for
right.
this.
Right.
And I would also, I would be wary about putting it into like a reserve account too, because there is, you can't just use that as like a bank account.
I don't think it's I think it
You
would be
couldn't
a,
do that either, right, so anyway, it's in the fund balance, it's not
yeah,
going
be in the
anywhere.
fund balance.
If you know how much it is, you have a.
You can keep track of it
Just- you can
separately.
get discreetly track of it, it's not going anywhere. And what I would definitely do is invest the rest of whatever you're not doing and maximize what you're going to, and then like the idea is to have, 4 or 5 administrations down the road being able to still fund all these wonderful projects for every single park. I do believe that the intent was not just for the Hayes Reservoir, I believe it was for every park. I know there's a current project with the gazebo, like that's, that's a very tangible thing. I mean, I know it's not parks, but Debbie's project, I mean, that $14,000 is kind of a huge hit to our budget, I can tell you that, so, maybe even, that's a good idea for maybe this year, put some of that money. So just really think about what you're gonna do with that money and have a tangible plan before, just a knee jerk to potentially
Oh,
like
yeah.
what,
Yeah.
you see on Facebook, the street talk, so to speak, to quote Leo, But yeah, but there are definitely account codes there. There's a couple different ones. That one is specifically parks, and I figured that was kind of good because you could do multiple parks with it.
Yes,
Yeah. That was that.
okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, yes, Lee Tyson, 10 Church Street. Church Street representatives here today. I have some questions from an October meeting. I went through minutes and I was kind of waiting to see if meetings from November and December had more detailed minutes on a discussion that the board here had. So October 23rd, 2023, you had a meeting in which political rallies in the park were discussed. The board discussed previous conversations regarding political rallies in public parks. And it was agreed that no permits are to be issued for political gatherings in the park. All agreed that walking on the sidewalk was not an issue. Can you please define political rally?
I don't believe that was the discussion. I think they said that we didn't need it, that no permit was needed if it was just gonna be on the sidewalk.
I have the meeting minutes printed,
All right,
and I
can you
just
read 'em?
read verbatim what you guys had printed in your minutes. That's why I was waiting to see if further minutes came out to flesh that out.
Is this in regards to the league?
Nope, this is not in regards to anything. This is in regards to the
It has
minutes.
to be in regards to something.
It's in regards to the quote from your minutes that I read. And I need definition on how you define a political rally.
Well, I think you're gonna have to write, I think you're gonna have to send that to us, but via mail, and we'll have to answer that. It's a little bit beyond this meeting. But
Yes,
Because I
because.
believe it is allowed to have political rallies in the park.
Yes, because as it is written and worded right now in your minutes without further details, you're in direct violation of the Constitution of the First Amendment, and it's also outlined in the ACLU that you cannot do that. This is also for you
Okay.
guys. So this is why I want details, and I was looking for fleshing out of this, but nothing has come forth. So I would really like
extreme details on this because I will lodge a complaint with Buddy Letitia.
I don't
If-
believe that was a resolution. It was a.
If this is discussed, it says that it was agreed that no permits are to be issued for political gatherings in the park. All agreed that walking on the sidewalk was not an issue. That's illegal. You cannot say that. You cannot do a resolution or not. It's in the minutes. This is why I need the details.
Okay, excuse me. I don't think we can finish this conversation in 3 minutes.
That's
So I
fine.
would request that you send us a written request for an answer. And we'll look at the list.
All right,
Okay.
yes, thank you
Thank you.
again. It's gonna be in the minutes this time around and hopefully we'll get some details. Thank you.
Anyone else?
You said that was the October minutes?
October 23rd,
Yeah.
2023. And I gave you guys a copy of it and the ACLU stamps on political rallies.
Okay, any other comments? If not, may I have a motion to adjourn the public part of the meeting?
We adjourn and go into executive session.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
I.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.